Hey, it's that time again. It's go-to time. We're going to go to album number 60, and we're going to go to all the way down to album number 51. And it's sponsored by Red Pineapple Beer. I've been trying to drink this, about 6 of them, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months ago. I'm down to my last one. I don't mind it. It's not bad stuff. I just don't drink much at home. Now, when I'm on the road, maybe a little more. All right. All right's a crutch word. Don't use that to start a sentence, by the way. Let's begin, because we know what happens. It goes long. Number 60. Sonic Youth. Look at that. This is the album Goo. This came out in 1990. This was a band that, it borrowed heavily from all the noise and experimentation of the Velvet Underground. And then it melded performance art into it. It just created this wave of noise that was copied by so many bands. The first Sonic Youth album I bought was Daydream Nation, which to some, you ask any critic, they'll say that's one of their best albums ever. This came out next in 1990. And this had tunes. This had tunes you could sing to. It had tunes you could whistle to. The noise was there, but it was more melodic, and I just totally love this album. And to this day, it's just some of the best noise that you're ever going to hear. Originally, when this album came out, they were going to call it Blowjob. Can you believe the record company said no to that one? Unbelievable. But this was their first major label debut. And so it was a huge deal for them, and that's why maybe it was a little more melodic. But let me tell you, it's filled with squalling guitars and drums. It starts off with a Dirty Boots. It's just this kind of a quiet guitar, and then boom, the drums kick in, and the noise and the feedback. Next song is Tunic, a song for Karen Carpenter, written by Kim Gordon, and it's about anorexia. It's about her life, the tragedy of it, of her mother telling her, well, you look kind of fat on camera. Sad story. Kim Gordon also did Cool Thing, where she has Chuck D singing, and she had done an interview with LL Cool J, and it's kind of some of that's in there, and she kind of goes after some of the leftist feminine ideals that she supported, but she kind of went at herself a little bit with that song. Side 2 just starts off with My Friend Goo. My Friend Goo says P.U. Just fun stuff on that. The whole album, sonic noise. It takes off from start. At the very start, it just comes blaring out and keeps going. The side 1 ends with Moat. It's just feedback. So if you like feedback, if you like squalling guitars, hard-hitting drums, Sonic Youth Goo is a must for you. Kind of rhymes, doesn't it? Number 60. Number 59. Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, 1987. Bought this one when it came out, but then when I went on a trip to England, I found the original, which I found extremely disturbing. It's just, I'm sorry, those things just bothered me, but still, it was the original artwork. And I had to have it because you couldn't find it in the U.S. I think now it's a lot easier to find, but at that time, it was a hard thing to do. But we're going to go with the more of that kid-friendly one, all right? How's that sound? Guns N' Roses, these guys brought back raw, dirty rock and roll. They brought it back to the charts. You had Slash and Izzy Stradlin, and they had this ferocious split of dueling guitars going on. Axl Rose screeching out lyrics of sex, drugs, and apathy. And Duff McKagan and Steve Adler were just one heck of a rhythm section, and they just propelled everything forward at warp speed. This was hard rock played by talented musicians. Big difference there. Yeah, I mean, these guys had tons of problems, tons. You know, one of them was, like, for instance, Axl Rose. He insisted on recording his vocals one line at a time, and that created so many problems within the band, but that's how he wanted to do it, one line at a time. But there was a mix of punk and some funk and Rolling Stones and Aerosmith. I mean, it starts off with Welcome to the Jungle. Talk about one heck of an opener when the first time you put that thing on. It's just Axl Rose's thought when he went to New York City for the first time from Indiana and what he found. And you know, the line he has in there goes, "You're in the jungle, baby, you're gonna die." Oh my goodness. I mean, Slash's guitars, they're just sputtering here. And Rose, oh my God, it's really amazing stuff. I mean, it's just tension. Song filled with tension. They had obviously the hit "Sweet Child of Mine." You know, that came about. Slash was playing he's just goofing around. He's playing like a little circus melody. And so all of a sudden, who was it thought he heard that? Stradlin heard him doing this little circus type thing. So he added in his stuff. And within 10 minutes, they had the rhythm, you know, set up for "Sweet Child of Mine." Rose heard it. He was upstairs. He liked it, and he wrote lyrics about his girlfriend. It's just a total screw up. Slash didn't like it just for the fact that I'm doing a circus melody. But it became one of their biggest hits. They have songs like "Mr. Brownstone," which is about their heroin addiction. "Night Train Express," which is about their very favorite cheap wine. This album, I mean, it's just a notorious celebration of sex, drugs, and the rock and roll. It's considered, to me, one of the greatest metal albums of all time. Number 59, Guns N' Roses, "Appetite for Destruction." Okay, number 58, The Damned. Damn, Damn, Damn. This came out in 1977. This album had the very first punk single. This album was the very first punk album ever released. Big deal. Band out of England. They formed in 1976. And by 77, they were already out there putting out stuff. I learned about this group through various punk rock compilations, through books I was reading. Any punk rock compilation had two songs, "Neat, Neat, Neat, Neat," which is going on in the background right now, and "I Got a New Rose." Classics. Amphetamine fueled, fast punk rocking classics. This album here, I had a CD for many years, and I found this. It's a original on stiff, actually on blue vinyl. Really, really cool. You know, what can you say about this? It starts off with just "Captain Sensible," which has this great bass line going, and then it just rips into "Neat, Neat, Neat." Amazing song where the band just bashes it out. Rat Scabbies, I mean, that guy, their drummer, he pounds like he's basically like the Keith Moon of punk rock, the way he plays. And then they have Brian James, who just plays his guitar at warp speed. He did 10 of the 12 songs too. I mean, 12 songs, 30 minutes. That's what punk's all about. Too bad I can't do a video that quick. Dave Vanian, he just yells through the stuff. I mean, it just adds this creepy edge with the vocals. On side 2, it opens up with, "Is she going on?" What did he say? Is she really going out with him? And then it just takes off right from there. The tom-toms hit, and got a New Rose. Just, again, warp speed. I mean, this album is a stone cold classic of rock and roll fire. I'm telling you, not a single ballad on this. It's an adrenaline, pogo jumping, gobbing goodness, shall we call it. Any punk, if you like punk and you don't have the damn, you're missing out, because this thing is phenomenal. Number 58, The Damned. Number 57, Earth, Wind, and Fire, All in All. This came out in 1977. First Earth, Wind, and Fire I ever had was the Greatest Hits package, which introduced me to the group. In 1977, I went to college in the fall as a freshman. That's generally how you go, isn't it? And I bought this album. And I'm sure the dorm must have appreciated this album because I couldn't get enough of it. It was so amazing. The horns and the textures that were created with each song, I mean, it had me in awe. I mean, Earth, Wind, and Fire was started in Chicago by Maurice White. And Maurice White was a drummer, a session drummer for Chess Records. But he put together this band, and you know what? It was one of the most creative and innovative bands, as well as commercially successful. They took, you know, things from Sly, the horns and the funk from Sly Stone, but then they added in the harmonies of the Fifth Dimension, and they just made a power group. The music on from this album was inspired when Maurice White, he took a trip to Argentina and Brazil, and he soaked up that music, and you can hear a lot of that Latin vibe within the funk. This is just, I mean, it's focused on soulful horns, and just incredibly beautiful harmonies and rhythms. Great stuff. I mean, it begins with Serpentine Fire and then punches right over into Fantasy. And both of those songs, I mean, they just zoomed up the charts and hit the dance floors. I mean, Serpentine Fire, I mean, it just leads off with this, it's just a horn-driven funk classic. But then there's also like this beautiful ballad, I'll write a song for you, that was done by Philip Bailey. Incredibly beautiful and so nice, and talk about a nice slow dance song. Fantasy, the song Fantasy starts with this dreamy ballad type feel to it, and then just the bass and drum kick in with a real funky beat, and of course here comes the horns, and everybody's back to the dance floor again. Then there's the ultra funky song Jupiter. Horns, horns, horns. I mean, they're everywhere. This was a beautiful album. It has so many good songs from start to finish. It was huge within the discos. Couldn't get enough of this. Love to crank this thing up. Earth, Wind, and Fire, number 57, All in All. Number 56, Los Lobos, By the Light of the Moon. This came out in 1987. I learned about this group from an album that was in from an article that was in Rolling Stone. And so I went out and I bought it, and I absolutely fell in love with this group. They played not only rock and roll, but traditional melodies that used the accordion. And I never thought a thing about the accordion. In fact, I hated it. And then I heard the way they played it and how they melded into rock and roll, and I became a lover of it. This was my first foray into any type of music that had Latin feel to it. This group, they started in 1973 in LA, and really it was a mix of Tex-Mex, country, zydeco, folk, rhythm, and blues. They threw it all in there. And it came out with Los Lobos. A lot of people just think of them about La Bamba, but they are so much more than La Bamba. And they're still putting out albums, they're still touring. Incredible group. This album here is produced by Timbo Burnett, and he helped give it mainstream success. It really has a lot of protest in here. I mean, it opens with One Time, One Night. And that's, you know, it's a song about violence in the streets of America, about, you know, people being shot, people dying, and why. It's just one more night, one more life put out in America. It's powerful song. And then the album gets into full groove with the guitar-oriented shake and shake and shake. I mean, that thing just has this great rockabilly feel to it, as David Hidalgo's guitar just soars. He has this incredible solo during it. But you know, this album, it really, they sat down and they looked at their community, and they tried to look at the heart of the community and what was surrounding them, and that's what they sang about. And there was a lot of problems. They had this beautiful song. It's called Prenda del Alma. Prenda del Alma. I might be saying that wrong. In Spanish, it means it's the soul. And it's done by Cesar Rosa. It's just a traditional Mexican folk song. No rock, no nothing. Doing it in Mexico. Absolutely gorgeous. That's some of my favorite Los Lobos songs, is when they do traditional and they don't rock it up. There's also, there's a song, they had two ballads. One of them was River of Fools. And really that deals with saying, hey, there is no secular deliverance. Forget about that. It's not going to happen. It's kind of a sad song. But then the final song on the whole album is Tears of God, another beautiful, soulful song, but it sings about religious redemption. This was a really amazing album. It had so many different types of songs, and this is the one that got me to love another brand new group and really get into Latin music. Los Lobos, By the Light of the Moon, number 56. Number 55, John Hiatt's Slow Turning. This came out in 1988. Again, Rolling Stone magazine. I read an interview or a review about this album, went out and bought it, and fell in love with it. I mean, Hiatt been writing songs since 1974, but it took him 13 years to get a song that hit the charts. I mean, he wrote them for everybody else, but he couldn't get a hit song until really he changed his style more to a rootsy rock and roll kind of a country blues type feel. This is the first album that came out after his critically acclaimed Bring the Family Home. But this is the one that I like because the songwriting and the stories were just incredible. I mean, it opens up with the song Drive South. I mean, it just has these great lyrics on. It goes, don't bother to pack your nylons. Just keep those pretty legs going. It's going to get hot where we're going. I mean, it's just this joyful song about driving with the one you love. I had him locked outside. My wife came home and let him in. I mean, again, thinks it's his channel. No, dude, quit buttonheading me. Trudy and Dave. It comes in next, and it's just this song has these beautiful strumming guitars. It's a story about two criminals and their baby. I love the line. He goes, and their baby, who's there just looking mean. And it's about them trying to get away. What had happened, and it's just graced with beautiful mandolins and a steel guitar. There's the song Tennessee Plates. And another, just a great one about doing 5 to 8 in the Tennessee prison, making Tennessee plates. It's a story about a guy who went and stole Elvis's Cadillac and took it out for a joyride. And now he's doing 5 to 8, making Tennessee plates. Paper Thin. is another beautiful song. It has this very aggressive guitar riff going on, and it's just delivered in Hiatt's really rough voice. I mean, he has this rough, gravelly type voice. To me, it's the best Stones song that the Stones never did. What you're hearing now in the background is Slow Turning. It's a very autobiographical song. It's about him and his family taking a trip. Again, the way he makes stuff, the lyrics. He has the lyric on here. He goes, I'm yelling at the kids in the back because they're banging like Charlie Watts. What a wonderful, wonderful, again, lyric. This album, it's good from front to back, which is why it's a go-to. I've never tired of it, still love it to this day. Number 55, John Hiatt, Bring the Family Home, and he's licking my face. Yuck. Number 54, Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced? This came out in 1967. Now, when I got into college, that's the first time I heard FM radio. And Jimi Hendrix seemed to come on about every hour. And I absolutely did not care for his music, or most of that was coming out from the 60s. To me, that was music for old people. I was 18 in 1977, and this was a couple generations ago as far as I was concerned. It wasn't Talking Heads, it wasn't Devo. Didn't like it whatsoever. In probably the mid 80s, you couldn't get away with Jimi Hendrix, but Hey Joe caught my attention. The haunting lyrics, the story that was being told, and the way he did it, and it won me over. And I went out and I bought this album. It's blowing me away. I mean, I absolutely love it. And so hey old people, I learned to like your music. It took them 5 months to complete this album in about 16 sections. 16 sessions. They recorded in between trips to Europe. But when it hit the charts, it stayed on for 106 weeks. Quit, would you knock it off, dude? God bless it. This is still, to me, in fact, many people consider the greatest debut album ever made. And it just changed the course of rock and roll when you think about it. It changed the whole sound, the whole sonic landscape, with the feedback and the distortion and just sheer volume that came out of this thing. I mean, there's the psychedelic frenzy of Foxy Lady and Manic Depression and Purple Haze, but then there's just the instrumental feedback jam of Third Stone from the Sun. And of course he did his tributes to blues with Red House and Hey Joe. And what's really cool, I like about that Hey Joe, it's just the haunting background vocals that were done by the group The Breakaways. And then there's the tender wind calls, the wind cries Mary about his girlfriend who he had a big fight with, whose actual name was Kathy, but he says it was about her. I just didn't name it after her. Such an important album. It's my favorite of all the Hendrix albums. It's the one that I will listen to religiously over any of the other ones. Number 54, an album everybody I'm sure probably knows, Jimi Hendrix, Are You Experienced, from 1967. Number 53, Art Blakey, Moanin. This came out in 1959, recorded in 58, but came out in 59, which was a huge year for jazz. This was Art Blakey's third version of the Jazz Messengers. That's how long they had been around. But this one contained the 20-year-old Lee Morgan, who'd already been playing with jazz groups for 2 years. And also it had the very funky pianist Bobby Timmons played on this. They originally were going to call this album just Art Blakey, but there was the song Moanin, which you hear going on in the background, that everybody loved. It says this thing's a Stone Cold classic, which it is. And this album is a hard bop masterpiece. If you're looking to get into You know, if you're just putting your toe in jazz, trying to figure out what to buy, you can never really go wrong with Art Blakey. He's easy to listen to, he's easy to digest, and this is one of his masterpieces, Moanin. His group on this, Art Blakey, obviously the drums. Lee Morgan was on trumpet, Benny Golson tenor sax, Bobby Timmons piano, and Jimi Merritt was on bass. I mean, there's certain songs like Moanin. It's a long song. They all trade solos. It just has this nice snappy beat happening. Along comes Betty. I mean, it's just a very lyrical piece. It's the closest thing they have, I would say, to a ballad on the whole album. The Drum Thunder Suite. It's broken into 3 sections. Drum Thunder Suite. It allows Blakey 3 different opportunities to really show how good of a jazz drummer that he was. And one of my favorites is actually called the Blues March, and it has this New Orleans marching band type feel to it. Such a great album. Well worth a listen to. You know, this here is one of these inexpensive presses that you get from overseas, but you could pick up a lot of really classic jazz. Something worth it. You could pick it up and then look for an original, you know, but at least you have the music. Art Blakey's Moanin from 1959, number 53. Number 52, Oranges and Lemons by XTC. This came out in 1989. Have nice little inner sleeves. See members of the band. This was my first XTC album. What grabbed my attention was that cover art. Isn't that something? But when I put it on, all of a sudden you heard this psychedelic, this reggae, this Middle Eastern, this jazz, all of it you could hear within this 2-album set. I mean, for fans of XTC, this came after their masterpiece, Skylarking. But I didn't know anything about Skylarking, so I had nothing to compare it to. All I heard was super catchy tunes. The cover art itself was kind of modeled after the Beatles' Yellow Submarine. Now, Andy Partridge, the principal songwriter, says, well, there was no Beatles. We didn't use them for any inspiration. Here's what I say to Andy Partridge. BS, man. This thing's Beatles all over the place. But like the Beatles, it's super catchy. It just brings you in. It starts off with what's playing in the background right now, the Garden of Earthly Delights, which just has this, it's really psychedelic feel to it. And basically, it's just a song about a child's guide to the world. You know, Andy Partridge, he had 2 toddlers by this time. So a lot of the songs were written, he was writing to them. They're a little more juvenile, but there's also the political songs. The second song, Mayor of Simpleton. It has this really infectious jangle pop going on. And though they say there was no Beatles, supposedly it was kind of tipping your hat to A Good Day Sunshine. When you listen to that, you got to listen to the bass. Just a really complicated bass part going on. King for a Day is another song. It has these just like these sweet candy harmonies and guitar playing. And the guitar, it has this bell sound to it. Fascinating stuff of what they were doing. There's the song President Kills Again, and this was arranged in like a marching band style, complete with horns, but it's a very political song. There's the song called The Loving, and that was Andy Partridge's kind of a rewrite of, shall we say, All You Need Is Love. He also looked at the Supremes for inspiration for that song. I mean, this whole album is a tribute to the poppy side of the 60s and to the 60s pop music and psychedelic music. I just found it to be extremely upbeat. And just loved its tempo and all the different instruments that were used. What a wonderful album. XTC, Oranges and Lemons, number 52. too. Number 51, Dead Kennedys, Fresh Root for Rotting Vegetables. This came out in 1980. You talk about an album that has a sonic attack, it's this one. And this was a critically acclaimed album due to the high quality of songwriting and the social protest that was going on. And it is a punk classic. I was introduced to the Dead Kennedys by Frankenchrist. That was the first album I bought. Man, was there some poster in that thing. That was kind of a shocker. But it made me get interested in their earlier works. And this is the one that I really, really love. Dead Kennedys are from California. They were the pioneering hardcore band that a lot of people say is on par with the Sex Pistols, especially in regard to confrontational lyrics and just their total scorn of the status quo. I mean, these guys, they just went after everything. You know, Sex Pistols had a lot of intensity and power. These guys use speed, and boy, they took off. I mean, it begins with the song Kill the Poor, and it's just almost like kill the poor. We gotta kill the poor. Kill the poor tonight. Just this rock and roll beat, but it's going against what people think about the poor, and it's just saying, you know, it's just going after them. And he has other very confrontational songs like Let's Lynch the Landlord, Chemical Warfare, Kill Children, and Holiday in Cambodia. I mean, that's some deep stuff. And Jello Biafra's voice, Biafra, oh my goodness, I know I say that wrong, but it's just a really distinct voice. They also had East Bay Ray on guitar, Klaus Fluoride on bass, and Ted plays the drums. That's pure punk rock, baby. You know, you have songs like Chemical Warfare. It just takes off at 200 miles an hour, and then right in the middle it breaks into the circus-type break. And then again, the chaos and speed starts right back up again. One of their big songs was California Uber Alles. It just starts with just this drum, and then the bass just joins in, just drum and bass. And then the guitar just comes screaming in, and you hear Jello's crazy high-pitched lyrics. Punk classic. One of my favorite lyrics is from that song. It goes, "It's the secret denim police. It's the suede." How's he say? It goes, "It's the suede denim secret police. We've come to pick up your uncool niece." Fun stuff, man. There's Holiday in Cambodia, and it has this incredible chorus. It goes, pull, pot, pull, pot, pull, pot, pull, pot. And then they just sing about, you know, Holiday in Cambodia, where everyone dresses in black. Again, it was going against the Khmer Rouge and, you know, just attacking them. This thing is punked up. There's not a slow song on it. You hit the gas and away you go. Side one, side two. It's power, it's anger, it's pure adrenaline, and it has influenced hundreds and hundreds of bands, including it influenced Tipper Gore to come up with trying to censor music. So way to go, Dead Kennedys. Thank you, Jello. Number 51, a punk classic, the Dead Kennedys, Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. that's it, folks. Thank you once again. We did it. We did another 10. We'll try to get another 10 out next week. I'm kind of getting a little tight with time, but maybe with the contest over now, I'll be able to get at this just a little bit more. So appreciate you once again. I got Cat finally to settle down, so he's not bothering me. I don't have to worry about getting my face chewed off. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Hope you like those. Get ready for the next 10. It's going to be another crazy batch of albums. Thank you very much for joining, everyone. Have a great week, all right?